You may remember a while ago I told you about the nuclear waste plant that needs to be built to last 10,000 years. But what about a project that we only want to last 10,000 years, just to see if we can? A couple of weeks ago I was in the Science Museum in London and I spotted an exhibit called the Clock of the Long Now. It's a prototype of a clock that's designed to keep time for 10,000 years. It stands about 8 feet tall, but as I say, it's just a prototype. The actual clock is going to be built 200 feet tall inside a mountain in Texas. The team building the clock had to consider how to accurately keep time for 10,000 years. They debated over 20 methods, including pendulum, water flow, tidal forces, solar alignment, tectonic motion, and human ritual, but flaws were found in every system. They were considered inaccurate, wet, difficult to measure, unreliable, difficult to predict, and too dependent on humans. In the end, they decided to use a combination of 2 different methods. They're using a pendulum, which loses accuracy over time, corrected by solar alignment using the position of the sun at midday. The clock will only tick once every 30 seconds. The clock will need power. The weight powering the pendulum will need to be wound up. And this will happen in one of 2 ways. The first, and preferable, is human power. It's hoped that humans will make the trek to the clock not only to see it, but also to power it, to wind it up. But the clock is a day's hike and a 500-foot climb up a spiral staircase. But apparently it's worth it. The temperature differential inside the mountain is huge. At its hottest, it's tens of degrees hotter than at its coldest, and this temperature differential will power the clock when humans aren't there to power it, because it's expected that at least once in 10,000 years, humans won't. And what would a clock be that didn't chime? This clock will chime once a day at midday using 10 huge bells. The chiming mechanism uses a calculation to produce a different sequence of chimes every single day for 10,000 years. Every group that visits the clock will have a different experience. After a day-long hike and a 500-foot climb up a spiral staircase, you finally get to see the face of the clock. It's huge, it's 8 feet wide, and it will show you the time, the date, a star field showing the current night sky, and the position of the horizons, but it'll be wrong. To save energy, the clock will only display the time when it is asked, which means that the display that you see when you arrive there is the date and time of the last person who was there. One more handle to turn, and the clock designed to last 10,000 years will finally tell you the time. Work has already begun on the clock. I don't know when it will be finished, but when it is, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Would you make the pilgrimage? A day's hike and a 500-foot climb up a spiral staircase? Start a discussion in the comments. I'll leave you with this from the Long Now website. The clock needs us. It will be an out-of-the-way, long journey to get inside the clock ringing inside a mountain. But as long as the clock ticks, it keeps asking us, in whispers of buried bells, are we being good ancestors?